What's up guys, Huber here, and as requested, we have another DISASTERMAX update. We have the full chassis assembly, we have torsion keys, we have brakes, steering, fuel lines, even got the top end of the motor assembled. Stay tuned, check it out. Sorry I'm taking so long on some of these videos. There's just so much going into it. I mean, I'm going way overboard on a lot of things. I have literally wire wheeled every single bolt that I've taken out of this truck. Everything, to the cam adjusters, the bolts, every little piece of steering, just way too much, way too far. Half of this stuff's getting cut off anyways in a few months, but if you're gonna do a job, do it right, take pride in it. That's kind of where I'm at. If I'm gonna do a full frame off on my truck, I want everything perfect. I want everything new. Anything new or anything not new, I want cleaned, painted, polished, everything dialed. So it's taken a little while. I don't want to give you guys shitty updates with like, oh yeah, well today I put on 2 control arms, like here's a 10-minute video. Not about it. So we do have some big updates this week, and I think you guys are gonna be pleased with the results. So today, we are gonna teach you guys how to do torsion keys without using the specialty tool. Now, as some of you may know, when you usually do any sort of torsion keys, lift, lowering, level, anything like that, usually you have to get that special C-clamp tool that actually clamps onto the torsion bar bracket and lifts the key up so you can put your retainer and your bolt in. And I think I found a way around that. So we're gonna give this a go. I already have the suspension assembled because I assumed you guys wouldn't give a shit about me bolting control arms up that I gotta pull again anyways. So right now, let's jump into a little bit of assembly in the chassis and show you guys how I did this trick with the torsion key. I've got the torsion bar cross member in, so you guys know what that means. It is time to do the leveling keys. Now, I've never done a set of leveling keys. I've done a lot of shit with trucks, and I've actually never done a set of leveling keys. But for now, I want to run just a decent sized tire under a 35. I want to keep it cheap. I want to keep it easy. So I have a set of 2.5, 3-inch leveling keys for the truck. So my plan is actually to unbolt this upper arm, and as you see, it's already loose. I kept everything loose when I put it together just for this. Now, the reason I'm doing this is this little bracket right here. That guy is what limits your down travel. So if I unbolt the upper control arm, in theory, these lower control arms can drop damn near vertically, which would allow that torsion key to pivot up high enough to allow that retainer to slip in. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, your torsion bar goes in here. Obviously your key sits here. So it sits like this. That's where your retainer goes. And your bolt goes in from the bottom and goes through that retainer. So if I can get that to rotate up enough by lowering that other control arm down, I'll be able to slip that retainer in and put the bolt in it without having to go rent the tool, put the deposit on my card, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if it's gonna work. We're gonna give it a try. If this works, then y'all know a new trick. release the tension. Get our nut off of there. Don't want to lose it. Then we just let that go. And I actually watched it drop. So now you can see it's all the way up there. There's nothing down there. So we can put our retainer in. Boom. And then we'll put our bolt in. So I just put it to where the bolt comes through there slightly, so it'll rest on that torsion key. Now, we're gonna go back up on this control arm and let it mate. Nothing that a little bit of weight can't handle. Now we should be able to put a good torque on that. Boom shakalaka. The plan worked. I had no idea. I've never tried this before. But I mean, it was just a simple thought process of, if this pivots down, this obviously needs to pivot up. So if I had more weight in the truck, like the motor, the cab, any of that, this would have been a lot easier bolting back together. Because obviously, when we start jacking this up, since we have the tension on the torsion bars, it didn't want to actually pivot enough to let this reach it. But now that we've got that done, it bolted together. I jumped up and down on it and put some weight on it to get the nut through and blasted it tight, and now we're good to go. So I'll set the camera up, I'll knock out the other side, and we'll get this thing on the ground. All right, frame is on its wheels. We're level, we're dialed. Suspension's good. So now I'm gonna jump on getting the steering all cleaned up and finished. It's super filthy. It's just years of grime. I already got the center link cleaned. Nice and ready to go. All I'm using is a drill, a wire wheel, and a little bit of brake clean and a rag, and everything's just coming out super, super clean. So I'm gonna throw all that steering together tonight. I'm gonna jump on the whole brake system. I still need to put pads in those calipers and get them mounted up. But once the brakes are on and the steering's on, and I can just go around and button up everything that I didn't torque down, I'm gonna blast tight. I'm gonna leave the lower control arms loose. You can't tell, there you go. So I'm gonna leave the control arms loose and the leaf spring bolts loose, just because I don't wanna load those until everything is on it, weighted, done. I mentioned it earlier, it's one of those deals, I torqued all this stuff down on another rig before I weighted it with the cab and the motor and everything, and it rode like a brick. So I wanna get it loaded and weighted, and then I'm gonna go around and torque all the moving pieces, but we're close, it's about there. So by the end of this video, I definitely foresee having all of the mechanical portions done, and then I just gotta jump on getting the rest of this motor together. Whew, I'm finally gonna get to drive my truck. I've had this thing for 1.5 years, been making payments on it every month, and I drove this truck home from the dealership, and that's it. So 1.5 years of just sitting here with, you know, a 4-ton paperweight. It's pretty exciting to be getting this truck done. So now I'm actually gonna work on getting the steering on the truck. Once again, I ain't filming it. It's something super simple, a monkey can do it. It's a few bolts. I'm probably gonna spend more time wire wheeling everything than I will installing it. Look at all the prettiness. Everything's so clean. So clean. So now we have steering in. We are leveled. Brakes are on. Super simple deal. Everything here is as it needs to be. We're ready to roll. Steering's done. I mean, it's just all waiting to get hooked back up. So we got our fuel lines, we got our brake lines, full steering, Wheels are on it. I mean, I got 2 lug nuts on. I think that's good for daily driving. But we're ready to roll here. So now I would have filmed putting the top end of this engine together, but I'm gonna be real with you guys. I didn't tear this truck apart. I brought this truck to an unnamed shop 18 months ago, and long story short, without pointing fingers, without, you know, throwing people under the bus, the guy fucked me. Guy royally, absolutely fucked me. I brought it there for a simple head gasket replacement. I would have done it myself, but I was like 2 weeks out from King of the Hammers, and with building an entire crawler from literally nothing to a full-blown fucking rock rig in 3.5 weeks time, I did not have time to be building this truck. There's absolutely no way. There is no way I was stripping that thing down and doing head gaskets right then. So I ended up forking out money, taking it to the best DuraMax builder in SoCal, and the guy hosed me. I mean, he had the truck for about, what, 4 or 5 weeks. He did such a piss poor job, and he still never got my truck running. You know, the guy ended up calling me and trying to tell me I had 4 bent rods in my truck. And anyone that knows vehicles, anyone that knows their own vehicle, I only had this thing for 1 day before I had to park it. But the truck was strong. It was fast, it idled good, it was smooth. It wasn't a blown up truck. And this guy's calling me trying to tell me I got 4 bent rods. So I said, you know what, screw this. I only put a down payment. I'm gonna go get my shit back, and I'm gonna do it right. I've never owned a DuraMax. I've never owned a diesel. I have never touched one. I've never worked on one. I don't know anything about it. And I had to put this whole motor together by myself with Google Images with no experience whatsoever. I mean, if I pulled this motor apart, had everything laid out, I would have known what went where it came from, the order in which it came off, but I had no clue, so I was just flying blind, and it just became a nightmare. There was nothing worth filming because I've spent the last 2 weekends in a row, 3 days straight, just constantly fighting this motor, and then coming home and fighting it again after work, and just, I would go 1 step forward and 2 steps back, sometimes 3 steps back just to go 1 step forward. Just, oh, I got this assembled, sick, dialed. Oh wait, I have to pull all of that off to put this part on. So it was just an absolute nightmare. But right now, I do have the motor pretty much together. I've got my nice up pipes on it. I've got the LML driver manifold. I ended up taking all this stuff to get bead blasted because this guy spent more time spray painting random fucking parts on my motor primer gray. Not even just like primer, he primered them and then sprayed them some shitty flat gray. All my aluminum parts, this, my whole freaking oil deal, all spray painted. I didn't even want to take that back apart, so I ended up having to just spray like 4 cans of brake clean on it and scrub it with a toothbrush. That's why that's sitting there. Just absolutely ridiculous and completely uncalled for. So I got this motor back, literally just full long block. I was smart enough to tear the truck apart because the guy said it had no compression after he put it together, and thank God I did. I pulled this motor apart, and I kid you not, he did not get anything machined. They're aluminum heads. You machine them, you get them checked, you get them rebuilt when you do head gaskets. It's just what you do. You don't go to an engine shop to get a truck rebuilt and he just fucking wire wheels them, which is exactly what he did. He took a brass wire wheel, literally this right here. He decked my heads with them, he decked my block with them, and left piles of wire wheels sitting in my pistons. I had chunks of it sticking out of my valves. It was hellacious, it was horrible. That's how I got my truck back. So thank God I tore the whole truck apart. It was missing a shit ton of gaskets and O-rings that he just filled with some sort of assembly grease to try to seal it off, some sort of shitty non-hardening silicone. So I shredded everything apart, bought a whole new gasket kit. I mean, I still have a bunch of stuff left over, but re-gasketed everything and put it together right. So, but it's all done. I mean, I took some time and Scotch-Brighted all my fuel lines, cleaned up all my injectors, re-O-ringed them. I mean, the only thing left is the turbo. It's a little dirty, but there's really nothing you can do. I mean, it's dirty. So I'm deleting the EGR. I ended up getting those new up pipes. I'm kind of fighting myself on what to do here because I have my intake elbow just waiting. But the problem is now that I deleted the EGR, there's nothing for this to sit on without me fabricating some sort of block. And all the horror stories I've heard from getting these eBay ones is that they blow the boost pipes off. They blow the intercooler piping off. So I'm kind of fighting myself there because I don't have $400 for, you know, a new horn and intake. So that's kind of where I'm hung up right now. It's just a matter of putting a few little things together. I've got the downpipe weight and all my PPE hoses. So by the time this video drops, I will have this engine in the chassis. You'll see it all next week. We're gonna be showing up to David's house next Saturday to drop the cab on. We got a few surprises there, a few little upgrades that all you Duramax owners would really benefit from. I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row here. I'm trying to cover my bases. I'm trying to get everything done while this motor's apart, you know. Up pipes, you don't wanna do that when it's in a truck. It's a pain in the ass. Your down pipe, that's even worse. Like, it all sucks, and I'm trying to get everything handled while I'm here. You can see I've got my studs. I did everything myself. That's why everything's covered in Sharpie marker. One other thing I'm waiting on right now is I need to pick up new bolts for my passenger manifold because I ended up picking up studs and they were way too short. So I got a brand new passenger manifold that I already drilled and tapped 1/8 pipe thread. So I'm gonna be ready for my EGT gauge. I mean, we're there. We are there. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed the update. I know we're not done, but we are thorough. The truck will be right, it will be dialed, and as soon as I can get a trans done, this thing's gonna be pushing probably 800 wheel. I am not fooling around here, I'm not playing games. This motor is built, it will handle it, and I'm excited. So with that, check in next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment, like, subscribe, let me know what you wanna see next. Later.